There's a silent power that men often overlook, one that doesn't involve flashy words, emotional manipulation, or playing games. It's the power of withdrawal, not as a tactic to control others, but as a disciplined expression of self-respect and inner strength. In today's world of instant messaging, likes, double texts, and attention-seeking behavior, ignoring someone, especially a woman, is not just noticed. It's felt deeply. It disrupts the emotional rhythm, pokes at the ego, and activates psychological triggers most people aren't even aware of. But when a man does it from a place of calm stoicism, not out of spite but from inner mastery, it becomes magnetic. Today, we're going deep into the dark psychology behind ignoring a woman, why it works, when it backfires, and how to wield this power like a Stoic, not as a weapon, but as a mirror. Let's begin. The human brain craves patterns. Ignoring disrupts them. The human brain is wired for patterns. We find comfort in predictability, routine messages, calls, affection, and attention. When these patterns are broken, the brain panics. It assumes something is wrong and begins to overanalyze. This is where ignoring a woman becomes powerful. If she's used to your constant attention, texts, emojis, compliments, and suddenly that tap is turned off, it's like a dopamine crash. She may not even like you that much, until the silence hits. Now you occupy her thoughts. This isn't about manipulation, it's about understanding reality. Attention is a form of energy, and Stoics are masters of energy discipline. They don't give it away just to feel needed. They give it with intention. And when they withhold it, it speaks louder than any argument ever could. Dopamine withdrawal and the hook of uncertainty. Psychologically, the attention you give a woman can become addictive, especially if it's consistent and validating. When you withdraw that attention, it creates a dopamine dip. This withdrawal effect creates a craving. Ironically, this craving isn't always about you. It's about how she felt when she received your attention. Your silence becomes a mirror, reflecting what she misses. This is what behavioral psychologists call the intermittent reinforcement effect. It's the same principle used in slot machines. Unpredictability creates obsession. Now, combine that with Stoic indifference. You're not doing it to create obsession. You're just not a slave to validation. And that is rare. That is attractive. That's why it works. Attention is the new currency. Spend it like a king. In the ancient world, gold was the currency of power. Today, it's attention. Most men are broke in this new economy. They give it freely, desperately, and without return. But Stoic men, they invest their attention wisely. They don't chase, they attract. They don't beg, they build. When you stop showing up, when you ignore, strategically and with integrity, it creates space. Space for her to question, to wonder, to feel your absence. And if there was any genuine attraction, this absence becomes presence. She feels it more than she felt your words. But here's the kicker. This only works if you're valuable. You can't ignore a woman from a place of weakness. That's just avoidance. Real power comes from knowing your worth and walking away from anything that doesn't honor it. Sue. Women are emotional communicators. Silence is a loud message to many women. Silence is not empty. It's loaded. It signals distance, disapproval, rejection, or mystery. And mystery is compelling. Stoic men don't get caught up in the noise. They don't respond to every jab. They don't explain themselves unnecessarily. Their silence is strategic. It says, I don't need to convince you. I know who I am. This doesn't mean becoming cold or emotionally unavailable. It means being rooted in your values and unmoved by emotional storms. A woman may lash out, test you, pull away, but your silence, your stillness, can disarm it all. It forces her to sit with her own emotions, to wonder, why did he stop reaching out? And in that wondering, you become unforgettable. The illusion of control. Why pulling back creates respect. Here's a dark truth most people don't want to admit. The person who cares less usually has more control. That doesn't mean you should pretend not to care. That's manipulation. It means you should actually be okay whether she stays or leaves. Stoic men practice amor fati, love of fate. They accept whatever happens and make peace with it. When you stop reacting, chasing, or explaining, you shift the power dynamic, not because you seek power, but because you've mastered yourself. This internal shift triggers a psychological response in her. Respect. Respect for your calm, for your distance, for your unavailability. Because true masculinity doesn't demand. It attracts. The chase instinct. Why scarcity breeds. Desire, evolutionary psychology reveals that scarcity breeds desire. What's rare is valued. What's too available is dismissed. When you ignore a woman, again, not out of spite but as a boundary, you create scarcity. And scarcity creates curiosity. Women are biologically wired to be more selective. But here's the paradox. When a man becomes selective himself, he becomes a challenge, a mystery. A Stoic man knows his time and presence are precious. He doesn't explain why he pulls back. He just does. And if she's interested, she'll lean in. If she's not, she'll fade, and that's perfect, because silence is the most efficient filter in the world. Emotional homeostasis, disrupting her comfort zone. Every relationship has an emotional rhythm, a comfort zone. When you suddenly pull back, you create imbalance. And this imbalance forces introspection. Did I say something wrong? Why isn't he responding like he used to? Does he not care anymore? That discomfort? It's powerful. It makes her reassess her behavior, her feelings, and your value, especially if she took your attention for granted. The Stoic man understands this. People only appreciate what they risk losing. Silence is not just absence, it's a mirror, and often it reflects the truth better than words ever could. How to use silence. Without becoming manipulative, let's be clear, Stoicism isn't about playing games. It's about discipline and integrity. If you're ignoring a woman just to hurt her or get revenge, that's not strength, it's insecurity. The Stoic approach is different. You withdraw because you value your peace. You won't beg to be seen. You'd rather be alone than disrespected. Your silence must come from clarity, not confusion, from boundaries, not bitterness. It's the difference between ghosting and growing. If she asks why you're distant, be honest, but don't over-explain. Your energy speaks louder than justification ever could. When ignoring backfires, and what to do about it. Ignoring isn't a magic pill. If there was no connection to begin with, your silence won't be noticed. If she's emotionally unavailable, it might just confirm her fears. That's why Stoicism teaches us to detach from outcomes. You can control your silence, but not her reaction. Sometimes she won't come back, and that's okay. Your focus should always return to yourself. Are you using this space to grow? To reflect? To strengthen your purpose? If so, you haven't lost anything. You've gained clarity, and that's priceless. 10. The ultimate flex, emotional control and presence. The highest form of power isn't loud, it's silent. The man who can remain calm in chaos, who can detach without drama, who can walk away with dignity. That man is unforgettable. Women remember how you made them feel. And when you master your emotions, you shift how they feel around you. Your absence becomes more powerful than another man's presence. Not because you're playing games, but because you're playing life at a higher level, a Stoic level. Conclusion: be the calm in the storm. The dark psychology of ignoring a woman only works when it's rooted in light, self-respect, inner peace, and emotional mastery. Ignore her not to hurt her, but to hear yourself more clearly. Walk away not to make her chase, but to protect your soul. Be silent not as punishment, but as power. And remember, the Stoic man doesn't need to be heard. His silence says everything.